All right, so everybody, thanks so much. If you're a first time listener, regardless of the platform that you're listening on, we really appreciate you listening. If it is one of the podcasting platforms, please subscribe and share this interview. We do interview a lot of amazing people that have done amazing things around the country and around the world. So we thank you so much. Special guest today is Dr. Mary E. Mitchell. She's an author, a speaker, and a teacher. She does have a book out. We hope people listening will buy this book and also find more about her on the internet. But the book is My Search for Ancient Wisdom, and it's one prisoner's journey of transformation. Dr. Mary Mitchell, thanks so much for your time today. Greatly appreciate it.
Oh, I'm really glad to be here and talk about the book. It's so special and it's getting a lot of really good coverage.
So let's talk about this because, well, actually, before we even get into the book, can you tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself?
I'd be happy to. I grew up in Ohio and went to Ohio State University after several jobs and got a degree in sawmill management. And when I did that, I wanted to work in the timber industry in Puget Sound, the West. And a few days after I graduated, it was in the 80s, so people were looking for women in the business. And so I got a job working with sawmills and buying wood from sawmills for pulp and paper mills. Well, anyway, so that lasted 10 years. Came to California, was offered a job to do the same thing at a wood-fired power plant that used wood. And during that time, I met some people who were very positive like I was. I grew up with a mother who was so positive, it just blew my mind until I read The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale, and I thought, that's my mother. And so I've used that philosophy all through my career, and it's been extremely wonderful. Well, then I found this philosophy at the Center for Spiritual Living in Metaphysical Studies. Mm-hmm. And I was asked to write a monthly column in a magazine for 7 years on this. And during that time, a prisoner who was in for life read one of my articles, and he read more, and he contacted me and he said, would this philosophy help me adjusting to life without prison? And I said, well, absolutely. And so we started corresponding, and he was a deadly gangster when he went into prison at age 19 for murder. And when he contacted me, he was 36, and he just turned 50 this year. So I have every one of our letters that we've written back and forth for 13 years, and that is what the book is about. His gangster attitude, railing at the system all the time, and me saying, here's a different way to look at it. Here's a different way to look at it. And that was in 2009, around 2015, his real attitude really started changing. And now he is what I would call a prison Buddha. He teaches other prisoners how to meditate, how to be mindful, how to be nice, how to see that there's something good that can come out of being in prison, because he thought that was the case. Yeah. But about 2015, he said, I've got to regain my humanity. That was the breaking point. He could see he was over the edge and he needed to come back and appreciate being a human being in a situation that he had no control over other than his attitude.
This is Dr. Mary E. Mitchell, and the book is My Search for Ancient Wisdom, One Prisoner's Journey of Transformation. Again, people should look into the book, and her website is www.engaginggrace.me.
Yeah.
So as we keep going into the interview, Mary, my question is when you encountered a person writing you a letter that was a prisoner, how did that all work? I mean, these people are going to prison usually for dangerous crimes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're, trying to talk to you, and, they're trying to get help, but still it's a little scary for a woman or even a man to encounter some of these people.
Well, I immediately write back and say, my focus is on finding that there's another way of doing life than you're doing it now. And if you're interested, I'm happy to respond and help you learn this. And if you're not, good luck to you. because I've had some other people who have written, and they just don't write back when I say that, but Michael did. And I have 3 other prisoners that I've done the same pattern with, and oh my gosh, it's helped their lives so much. In fact, the book, if you've seen the cover, I don't know if you've seen the cover of it, a beautiful piece of art by another prisoner who found me. Oh, wow. And when he was homeless for 15 years, he had a 5th grade education, but checked out books out of a library and started drawing and realized he was a natural artist. Wow. So when we were doing this book, Charles said to me, because they can't correspond between the two of them, can I help with designing the cover? And so I said to Michael, what do you want on it? And he explained it, and it's exactly what Michael wanted. It's just beautiful. It shows a very dangerous, rocky place to walk, and very dangerous. And then there's this porthole. Where is it here? There's the porthole that he walks through, and a blood red moon behind it. But because Michael's African American, and he loves his African American studies also, Charles put some little elephants on the top in the porthole, so it kind of gave it that African feeling. And in the book, we have 21 pieces of Charles' art. Not in color, but at least you can tell the incredible talent he has that he developed when he was homeless.
Wow. So I'm assuming that Michael and Charles are still incarcerated then, correct?
Michael for life. Yeah.
Okay.
Charles will probably get out in about next March, we're thinking. And he wants to come back to our area. And I have told him, if you want me to take care of your art, just send it to me. I'll put it in a file and keep it safe. Because in prison, you never know what goes on with that. So I've got 264 pieces of his artwork.
Wow.
I've logged it, scanned it, and making this big portfolio so he'll have it when he gets out.
So when he gets out, you guys will definitely meet up then. Okay.
Yeah, that's because this is the area where he lived, the Northern California area. He walked the forests and everything for many years. I'm having him write his life story. Because like Michael, I mean, these stories that these people go through are amazing. Yeah. And he's doing that, and I'm typing them up. And I think probably by the time he gets out, we'll have a book ready to market. His father was in Hell's Angels. His mother was Native American. And as he and his little sister were, as children, small children, they went from meth house to meth house to meth house all over the West. And Charles had a phobia that he didn't like to be touched. I mean, he's around creepy people all the time. And he didn't like that. And his father kept calling him queer and beating him up. So when he contacted me from an ad in the paper I did for our church, he said, I'm brain damaged, but maybe you could still correspond with me because I have no one else.
Wow. So he has serious brain damage. Wow.
No. He thought he did.
Oh.
And what I found in his explanation of his art, that he had a special sense of being able to see energy in everything. Everything. Would you like a story from Michael?
Yeah, go ahead.
You have time?
Yeah.
Well, coming into prison, he was so afraid of being hurt. He became deadly in prison. I mean, you look at him the wrong way, he'd break your arm. So he was in the hole a lot. A lot. So that was between age 19 and when he wrote me when he was 36. So now he's softening up a little bit. And he hates the guards. So I'm going, you know what? They're doing the best they can. They are liking their job. They're doing the best they can. Don't treat them crappy. Don't treat them badly. So he started being nice to the guards. But this one guard, as Michael was leaving the cafeteria, he said, Nichols, you've got blue shoelaces in your tennis shoes, and that's not allowed. So I want those shoelaces. Well, all the other inmates are gathered around because they know there's going to be a fight. Michael goes, He reaches down, takes out the shoelaces, and hands them to the guard. And he got written up.
Really? Why?
They do that so easily. It could be for insubordination or rudeness or whatever. So, especially when they're in the hole, all they have to do is say something wrong to a guard and they add 30 days.
Wow. It's crazy.
So here's the sequel that's already coming out of this book. In February, the book was published. About a year ago, February, something happened at his prison in Missouri. Now, the newspapers say that the administration was cutting out the number of guards. And when that happens, you have illegal activities, gambling, gang riots and all that, gang fights and all that. And so in January 2021, there was a riot. And he recently said, 2 guards jumped on me and all the other prisoners were so upset. It just all came together to be a whole full-fledged riot. So after the riot was quelled, he had a broken arm and a wrist. And they gave him water and Tylenol, and said, drink lots of water. And they threw him in the hole. So at 6 months, he went before this panel and they said, let's just make it a year.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So they really don't like him.
And part of it is he's so darn smart. When you read that book, you go, this guy is brilliant. And he influences other people that way. And that is, it's scary for the guards. So anyway, when he got out after a year, they immediately sent him to another prison. And they didn't know who he was, but they figured they better put him in the hole for 30 days
Wow.
and monitor him. So they did that. And he wrote me, he said, Mary, I am laughing. If I can do a year, I can do 30 days. And I said, Michael, tell me how you do it. So he wrote me his top 10 tips for surviving the hole without going crazy.
Yeah, go.
And so there's an organization called the Marshall Project. They are advocates for prisoners. And they put out a newsletter every week, goes nationwide. And I asked Michael, would you be okay with me submitting that top 10 tips? And they published it. So over 10,000 people have read his top 10 tips, which are great.
Do you have the tips or no?
Oh, yeah, I got them right here.
All right.
Because, we could use, if we all end up in a COVID thing again and have to quarantine at our house, oh my God. I wish I had this pre-COVID.
Yeah, you ain't kidding, right?
Make every day productive is number 1. You have to be productive. He's in a 7 by 9 foot cell, 23 hours a day. You have to do something to make it productive. And here's an interesting thing. He said, most people in the hole get cell anxiety and they don't want to leave their little cell because they know the guards are going to come in, toss it, and take anything that's worth anything. So he said, have confidence in yourself because they're going to come in anyway. But when you have confidence, when you walk out of that cell with confidence, they really kind of think that's not worth tossing his cell. So I thought that was good. And being afraid of going out, I remember early COVID. People did not want to leave their home. So that was interesting. And exercise is your most productive activity, especially when you're in a 7 by 9 foot room. And as his arm healed, he started doing 3,000 crunches a day.
Wow.
And he said he's got a 6-pack any young buck would love to have. He said, read anything you can read, which is another thing guards don't like. You can get books in there and things to read because he even read the dictionary 1 month just to improve his language and understanding. He reads everything. He's just one of those people. He said the guards would rather they watch you drive yourself crazy and yell and scream at each other than anything else. So there's the 2 sides. They think the inmates are worthless. The inmates think the guards are worthless. So there's a stalemate there that goes on. The process of shifting from negative to positive, he realized as he started doing that, that the cells in his body, the energy in his body increased, and he had a better ability to judge what was really going on. And he's right-handed, he started writing with his left hand every morning. He'd write an affirmation with his right hand, right one with his left hand. And in a few months, they were almost equal. And he said,
Wow.
you don't know the power that released in me that I would never have expected. Some energy, big energy release in him by doing that. So that's kind of fascinating to think of. And forgiveness. Anybody in your life you haven't forgiven, is time now, because you need to be as calm as you can be, as centered as you can be. And as one of my favorite authors says, when we have pain in our body, it's really time to think about what we've been doing with our mind. If we've been putting negativity, hate, all this judgment out there, it comes back to us because it's all energy. It comes back to us in other energies. And so he put that into use in prison in the hole. Finally, when he got out, he said, they broke my glasses so I can't read. So I went on Amazon and bought him they only come in 5 packs of glasses. Anyway, so he couldn't have 5. So they told him he couldn't have his glasses. And I said, okay, Michael, it's time to be nice to the people in that department who hold things. Remember, they're doing the best they can. So his next letter is, okay, I took your advice. I was really nice to this guy. We started getting along. They said, here's 1 pair. So it's just cute. It's just.
So he's in there for, there's no chance of parole then?
Every 3 years, he can go in front of a parole board. But just like this year, it was scheduled for last month. And so what they do is they find any reason to throw him in the hole so he can't go to his parole board hearing.
Oh, wow.
And that happened
This
this
is
year.
even at the new prison.
Oh yeah, this is a supermax in Missouri.
Oh, wow.
So, and in that supermax, they have at least 200 people on death row. So these guards are pretty tough.
Yeah, you ain't
But
kidding.
he's got his portfolio. He's taken every course any prison has offered him. He was an day assistant to the people in prison who were in a wheelchair. He didn't even know there were departments like that where people couldn't help themselves. So he did that for a while. He helped in the cafeteria. And so he's got a lot of credits in his package. And then he's got this year in the hole. So
Wow.
I don't know.
Oh, so he's in the hole right now? I'm sorry, Mary. He's in the hole right.
Right. Because of his parole hearing. They didn't want him to go to it.
So is it a 30-day deal or?
He thinks no more than 60.
Wow.
But the way he is helping others right now, his motto is each one teach one. Who can I teach today that might like to know there's another way instead of being angry and hateful in prison? So
maybe they want to keep him in there because he's getting rid of a lot of controversy.
Yeah. And in fact, last year I had a weekly radio program on a community radio station, and I read 2 of my favorite nonfiction books. And I typed up the manuscripts and I would send them to him. And he would read them out loud to all the guys in the hole, and they just loved it.
Wow, that's incredible.
So there's so many ways that I was encouraging to him, and to not let go of that positive, life-affirming attitude.
As we end the interview, what do you hope people learn from my talk today?
That there's always another way. When you think you're stuck, when you think you don't know what else to do, if you say to yourself, I know there's another way, and let curiosity lead you, you will always find it. And that's Michael's message. There's always another way. And I've put that in a booklet, and it's listed on my site, engaginggrace.me, and you can email me and I'm happy to send it to you. It's very simple, but it really shows it's really true. Don't ever think you're stuck. You're not.
For people listening, you can find more about Mary on engaginggrace.me, and definitely check out the website there. Mary, thanks so much for your time. I hope people buy the book and learn more about you at engaginggrace.me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate sharing this because it's what I love to do is help other people realize there is another way.